Let's talk about the 5 critical components of true strength training. Now, I'm not talking about true strength training like, vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream. This isn't some kind of flavor of strength training. And I'm also not like nitpicking details, right? When you really understand strength training, then you understand what I'm talking about. So after you watch this video, it's going to make sense why I harp so much on, true strength training versus just like using weights. All right, so there are 5 key components, so let's go through those. Number 1, make the primary goal getting stronger. Number 2, focus on training versus exercise. Number 3, train all major muscle groups at least once per week. Number 4, use good form, a full range of motion, and take each set close to failure. And number 5, take plenty of rest between sets. Now let's dive into each of these. Your primary goal needs to be getting stronger. When you're in the gym, all right, hopefully you're gonna have a good time, but you're not there to hang out with your buddies, though you might do that. You're not there to get sweaty, sore, and tired, though you might do that. The goal is to get stronger. Keep your eye on the prize. All right, let's not forget why we are training. Remember, the name is strength training. The goal is to get stronger, okay? So, and look, the way that another way of talking about this is progressive overload is a term you've probably heard, which is, it just means the ability to lift more weight and or reps over time, aka getting stronger. But just remember that the whole reason you're in the gym, and with every set that you're doing, the rest breaks, more on all this later, that the goal is to get stronger. That's why we're strength training. Number 2, we want to focus on training versus exercise. This is a concept I was introduced to years ago, and it's revolutionized my own workouts and the way we work with clients, all right? And that is training versus exercise. So exercise is great. Exercise is far better than just sitting on the couch eating Cheetos all day. But exercise is not as good as training. So exercise is any activity, so this is gonna be a lot of activities. Any activity that gets your heart rate up, gets your body moving, and works your muscles to some degree. That is exercise. It's great for your health. It might make you sweaty, sore, and tired. You might have a good workout today. But training is, each workout is like a brick that's part of a bigger building, a bigger masterpiece. So each brick matters a lot, but it doesn't matter in and of itself. Like, the point of the brick is not the brick itself. The point of the brick is to make the building, to make the masterpiece. And that's the point of training. Each workout is just a brick that you're laying as part of something bigger. So exercise is all about today, still very good for your health, but training takes into account like what we're doing today needs to build on what we did last time. And what we do today needs to set us up for a good workout next time. So each piece needs to complement and not overshadow or mess with the other pieces, right? That's what training is all about, long-term thinking. And in the long run, you will get far better results from training. So that's why at Steel Strength Training, it's in our name, we focus on getting stronger and on training versus exercise. Next, you want to train all major muscle groups at least once per week. Now, you can get into, there's plenty of discussion to be had. Well, what is the ideal frequency? Should we train each muscle group once per week, twice per week, 3 or maybe even more times per week? There's a time and place for all of that, but I'm not here to discuss that in this video. But what I am here to say is, like, at a minimum, like 99.9% of the time, there's always exceptions, but we're not talking about that today. And you're probably not the exception, all right? 99.9% of the time, you should be hitting every major muscle group at least once per week. I'm not making claims about how many times, but just at least once per week, all right? Next, you want to make sure all of your sets are very high quality, which means you use good form, a full range of motion, and you train close to failure. So number 1, you're using good form, right? This is the most, look, if you're using bad form, you're gonna get hurt. And that just like, you get hurt and nothing else here matters. So the whole goal is to use good form, all right, so you stay safe and get the most out of each exercise. Then you want to use a full range of motion. I would rather you drop the weight down and use a full range of motion than lift a heavier load but not do a full range of motion. 99.9% of the time, you're going to get far better results with a full range of motion. And then once you have good form and the full range of motion locked in, lock them in. Don't ever get away from it. But then, and only then, focus on taking each set close to failure. Really push each set within 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. And this is the number one thing that I think keeps most gym goers stuck. They show up to the gym week after week, month after month, year after year with little to nothing to show for it because they're not training hard enough. It's not that they're not in there enough time. It's not that they're not doing enough sets. It's not that they're not doing the right exercise. Most of the time, it's not even that they're doing the exercises wrong. They're just not training hard enough. And I'll give you an example of something I've seen literally hundreds, maybe thousands of times working with clients. Let's say they're doing 3 sets of 8 with like 65 pounds on bench press. It's just an example. And then on their third set, I'm like, all right, let's do as many reps as you can. Well, I've seen countless times where people get like 20 reps on their third set. And we were more or less wasting our time on those first few sets. I'm not doing sets of 8 rather. I'm not saying that it was totally pointless, but you will get far more out of it if you're actually training close to failure. So of course we bumped them up next time. Like one high quality set taken close to failure with good form and full range of motion is worth, I don't know how many. Like I'll take the one high quality set over a dozen, like half range of motion. I mean, seriously guys, like one high quality set is enough stimulus to drive progress. I'm not saying one set's all you need, but if like one set is enough to drive progress. So, and then you do 2, 3, 4, 5 sets, high quality sets per muscle group in a workout, and that muscle, it is stimulated. You're going to feel it. And more importantly, you're going to get stronger. So that's so key, guys. Learn good form, lay a good foundation, and never get away from it. Use a full range of motion. That's kind of a piggyback off the good form. And then finally, once you have those, never get away from those, never stray from those. Using good form and full range of motion, train close to failure every single set, okay? You'll thank me later. Finally, we're going to take plenty of rest between sets. Remember, the goal is to get stronger. And so intuitively, like this already makes sense, but also like study after study has shown, the longer you rest between sets to a point, the greater your performance. So as a general rule, like play around with this. Just remember, like the goal is not to rest for 20 minutes between sets. That's crazy. Ain't nobody got time for that. But the goal, this is not like a cardio workout, right? So you want to let a lot of your fatigue dissipate. You want to let your heart rate come back down after each set. And if you're training close to failure, your heart rate's probably going to get up. Like you are really, really working, okay? So you want to let that fatigue dissipate before your next set. So as a general rule, on your big movements like squat, bench, deadlift, shoulder press, 2 to 3 minutes rest is usually good. On your other compound movements, maybe more like dumbbells and things like that, dumbbell bench press, push-ups, dumbbell rows, lunges, things like that. 1.5 to 2 minutes between sets is usually good. And on your smaller movements like abs, arms, shoulders, usually 1 minute to 1.5 minutes. Look, these are rough times. Maybe you can go a little bit, with a little bit less rest, a little bit more. Just remember, like the goal is to get stronger. The goal is performance. The goal is to train close to failure, not to rack up a ton of fatigue as quickly as you can. So guys, that's it. If you want to do true strength training, if you don't want to do true strength training, I'm sorry you wasted your time watching this video, but if you want to do true strength training, you need those 5 components. Make the primary goal getting stronger, focus on training versus exercise, train all major muscle groups at least once per week, use good form, full range of motion, and train close to failure, and then take plenty of rest between sets.